Wow. Oprah Winfrey is now getting pulled into the Russell Simmons legal drama. This is crazy, y'all.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal.
What's up? Now, I know we've been talking about a lot of legal woes revolving around Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, etc. We've talked a lot about the diddler. We've even talked about Jay-Z's lawsuits, etc. But now we're dealing with something that's kind of old. Let's be honest. Russell Simmons, for those of y'all who are savvy to Russell Simmons, okay, the founder of Def Jam and all that stuff, he is somebody who has left the country before he was even able to get before any of these legal drama actually stuck to his body. He jumped on a plane and flew out to Bali, okay? And that's basically where he's at. Some place where you can't get hit by any of this legal drama, etc. It's very, very interesting. He ran away. He basically ran away. But now there is an accuser, okay, by the name of Drew Dixon, that is now basically saying, hey, I'm bringing Oprah Winfrey into the mix. I'm bringing her into this legal drama, into this legal mess, because I need to hear her side of things, and I need to see, she needs to bring the proof of the things that she has. Now, what's interesting about this is that Oprah Winfrey did a documentary. Apparently, she had everything in the can, and then at the last minute, it's basically a surviving Russell Simmons, kind of surviving R. Kelly type thing. She, out of nowhere, after having all this in the can, bowed out, left the project. Why? No one's really known on why. No one's ever really known the reason why. One of the only things that they have said is that maybe one or two, maybe just one of the accusers that were a part of this documentary had some inconsistencies in their story, and therefore she said, I can't back this. I can't support this if there's inconsistencies or there are some holes in their stories, right? Now, that's very interesting nonetheless. But now we're hearing that Drew Dixon, one of the people that was allegedly part of this documentary, is stepping out and saying, I need Oprah to be a part of this legal, she's going to be subpoenaed. She's going to be a part of this legal drama. And we got to get into this because this is very, very interesting. Okay. So Russell Simmons seems to have dragged Oprah Winfrey into his legal turmoil. So Drew Dixon, one of the women who accused the Def Jam mogul of of these sexual offenses, including R, all right, we got to use these code words, has subpoenaed the TV legend Oprah in her defamation case against Russell Simmons, demanding Winfrey give evidence and cough up documents. Now, remember, she was doing a whole documentary. She was getting everything ready. Everything was in the can. And then out of nowhere, she says, maybe I'm not going to do that anymore. Maybe I'm not inconsistencies. I'm not for it anymore. So much that she went on the TV. She went into interviews explaining her reason on like, hey, I know that this optically looks weird for someone who is an advocate for SA and R victims, but I have to back out of this, right? Seems a little bit weird, right? But in 2017, former Def Jam executive Dixon, okay, Drew Dixon, accused Simmons in a New York Times article of R-ing her in his apartment in 1995. In 2024, she sued Simmons, claiming that he defamed her in a now very known and very seen 2023 interview by casting doubt on her claims. We're going to be seeing a little bit of a clip on that whole thing here. And it's from the Graham Bensinger show. Okay, he's a interviewer, reporter, journalist kind of guy. He's interviewed all types of people from Russell Simmons all the way to Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, it's been pretty crazy. But anyway, he does have a conversation with Russell Simmons, and Russell Simmons says about Drew Dixon, could someone want notoriety in the market where people thirst for fame? He also said, I've never been forceful in any of my relationships, and that all his relationships have been quote unquote consensual. She's also suing over Simmons' remarks about Winfrey's part in the scandal. He said in the Bensinger interview that Oprah had dropped out of producing a documentary, the On the Record documentary, which addressed a number of women's accusations against Simmons because she found quote unquote inconsistencies in their allegations and claimed that Oprah Winfrey had recordings of conversations with accusers that revealed those alleged inconsistencies. Now, if that is entirely true, damn right Drew should be asking for that stuff, especially, I mean, if it's a defamation lawsuit and he's just making that up, if he's lying about that, we'll see the proof, right? We'll see proof in the pudding if that's true or not, right? So after she quit the project, Oprah Winfrey told the New York Times that she still believed Dixon, but the paper wrote that she also thought there were inconsistencies in her account that the film had not adequately addressed. The Times added that, quote unquote, the filmmakers say they have voluminous research files corroborating all women's accounts. So I can see why Oprah Winfrey's getting dragged into this if she's got files of stuff to back up these women's accounts. And of course, pointing out the inconsistencies and all that stuff as well, if those inconsistencies are true, right? Now, Page Six has learned that Dixon's attorneys have subpoenaed Winfrey. A subpoena to Oprah Winfrey from Dixon's lawyers, seen by Page Six, reads, "You are hereby commanded to produce the book's records, papers, data, documents, evidences, writings, and all other tangible things as described more fully in the attached Schedule A at, in brackets, law firm Boyes Schiller Flexner LLP, this address, blah, blah, blah," or you can send it electronically. Okay, so moving on. It's unclear what assets exactly were called for in the attachment, or whether Winfrey complied, with the demand, or had her lawyer fight the subpoena, because this was due by on or before March 18th, right? So they don't know if she actually complied, put that stuff out or not, right? So what's very interesting about this, I mean, I could see her being very upset about this, because at the end of the day, this could be a situation where Oprah could be lying. There could be another reason why she stepped out of the conversation, stepped out of the documentary in finishing the project. She could have been threatened, and maybe she didn't want to say that on camera. She may have been, like I said, there's so many speculations and theories out there. It's been pretty crazy. Let's just be completely real. But I do want to play a little bit of this episode from In Depth with Graham Bensinger. This is the interview. This is the conversation where Russell Simmons is talking about Oprah Winfrey and all that, her bowing out and all that. And it's interesting. It's very interesting. And this is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people have had they've been side-eyeing the hell out of Oprah as of late, because, well, not only just because of the theories and the rumors that have been running around ever since Diddy got arrested. People are like, oh, she's next and all that. She's involved in something bigger. I don't know about all that. But what I do know is that this does not help her case. You are spearheading a major project to go in on Russell Simmons, a massive name at that time, okay, before he ran off and disappeared and started doing yoga in mother-loving Bali up in this piece, all right? And then suddenly out of nowhere, you bow out. You just completely back the F out. It's weird. Optically, it looks extremely weird. And I feel that not only the accusers, but the people of the court of public opinion definitely need some more of a solid, thorough explanation on what happened here. But let's hear what they got to say in this video here.
Why not? Because it's not true. And I think that Oprah said the stories don't add up.
Oprah also came out and said she believed the women.
I stand in support of these women. I believe them. It was a hard decision because I knew that Russell Simmons had started publicly pressuring me,
Mm.
and that me pulling out of the documentary was going to look like I was being pressured.
How do you square the two?
Well, her
In
saying
terms of
she said she believed women, but if you want to call Oprah, I can give you her number. She made a movie about some women and then made it very public that she was making the movie and that she made the movie, and then she walked away. She has not come back in support. Isn't she a supporter of black women or not? You should call her. She will not defend those women. Those are black women that she said she supported. She will not defend them.
Okay. Well, we're going to hear a little bit more here in a second, but I got to cut this up because, fair use and all that crap. But at the same time, very interesting though, right? Very interesting that he's sitting there going like, hey, she ain't supporting them. So if she ain't supporting them, why should I mean, clearly they're lying, right? But now you got Drew Dixon going, hey, oh, wait a second, bro. You shouldn't be saying anything about me or any of these other accusers. F you, I'm suing. Defamation. Now Oprah has to show proof of inconsistencies and whatnot. But we haven't heard in that other piece that we heard from Oprah. It's a small clip. She didn't say anything about inconsistencies. She just said she had to bow out. And it was just optically a bad look because clearly Russell Simmons has been going after her publicly. And then now she's bowing out. So now optically it looks weird. She did not say anything from, at least in that clip. I'm sure there's more to that clip. Obviously there's more. She doesn't say anything about inconsistencies, but maybe she does say that later on in that interview. But let's continue on.
She cried on the phone to multiple witnesses that she didn't even know, because she learned that hurt people. And that her stories, as an investigative journalist herself, she those stories should never have been printed, much less made a movie about.
what conversations did you and Oprah have during that process?
Well, the first thing I called her and I said, I'm glad it's you making the movie because people rush to judgment and you're a reporter. I said, well, have you spoken to anybody who was there at the time or around that time? And then she called them. She studied them. She read their books. And then that's caused her to walk away from the movie.
What she had said, just to be clear on like CBS this morning, was that she felt more time was needed, and
to make a whole
the
documentary, not about me.
wouldn't.
She said to change it. She said to change the whole thing, is what she told me. She told him she wanted to change the entire thing to a documentary about men in general, about the whole music industry, and that I couldn't be a subject anymore because she had found too much contradictory evidence about the stories about me.
Now, here's what's interesting about this. If that information is true, that has not been heard, at least from what I've seen in these interviews out here. What he's saying, what's uttering out of his mouth right now is not what we have heard in the public. But now, this is obviously about a year old. This is over a year old, this interview. Now that this interview is out, the whole world has seen it, and so has Drew Dixon. And Drew Dixon is looking at that and going, oh, okay, so if you want to make it sound like I'm some sort of crazy liar, okay, first of all, defamation because you're lying. But two, okay, if that's what Oprah was saying to you privately, personally, okay, let's show me the documents. Show me the information that led you, Oprah, to the point where you decided I am out of this project. That's all she's asking, right? So now Oprah is going to have to be pulled into this whole mucky muck solely because of Russell Simmons opening his mouth. Because Russell Simmons, you got to put on the table here too. Russell Simmons could be lying. Oh, wow. That could be a thought. That he could be saying whatever he could say right now just to save face, just so he can look good on camera. This is the first interview that he's done in several years. All right. And he gets a sit down and he gets an opportunity to say his version of the truth or his side of the story. Right. And of course, he takes an opportunity to maybe spin the wheel a little bit, maybe fib, throw a little white lie here and there. I remember it like this. Well, I guess we're going to find out soon enough on if Oprah Winfrey really did leave that project solely because of inconsistencies, or was it because of something else? Anyway, guys, that's the video. Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Hit that like button down below, and definitely let me know your thoughts here, okay? Crush that subscribe button, and we'll talk here soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.